Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Teddington in deepest, darkest southwest London, and we're here at Strawberry Hill Depot.
And it's cold.
Right, come on guys, let's get out the cold first of all. So we are here at this site where it's the home of the Southern Electric Traction Group, where there is an amazing bit of British Railway history here.
Absolutely, and not just you.
Well, not me, no, well, we will gloss over that by the starters. Why are we here?
We're here to see the last operational VEP number 3417 and the work that the SETG have been doing here for the last 10 years. But we can't bring you in to an operational depot.
No.
You guys are at home, so what are we going to do about that? Simple. What we do is we deploy tele-minions.
And here they are, so
Yes.
come with us and have a look in here. We
kept-
are in with Railway HQ here doing all manner of bits and pieces with technologies.
Yes.
They are very, very busy and very important people. So we brought those guys in to give you an exclusive insight to the depot and all the inner workings of 3417 Gordon Petty. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the warm and comfy surroundings of the shed here at Strawberry Hill in southwest London, the home of the Southern Electric Traction Group and the home of 3417. Well, thank you very much for joining us on this very first episode of this particular series, and I'm delighted to say that we are joined by the man of mystery himself. And don't look around. Look,
Oh, right,
this
sorry,
is
yep.
your moment.
This is me.
So welcome, Steve, to the proceedings
Hi,
here.
everyone. Yep.
How are you feeling?
How do we end up here?
I have no idea. I don't really know where we've really gone from here. But what a great! I mean, this has been a long time in the making, and we're finally here.
10 years to get to here. 10 years. 2024 was a huge year for the group, a huge year for the VEP. Taking it back to Waterloo was unbelievable. You were there, you enjoyed it as well.
Unbelievable moment.
Being able to give Gordon Pettit himself the first time in nearly 5 years to inspect his train, but to inspect it at London Waterloo was an astonishing achievement, and the group are still slightly in shock and still slightly bemused that we managed it. Don't tell anybody, you know, we winged it, but it was good, you know. And then, of course, being able to go down to the Bluebell Railway in September to attend the Diesel Gala. The Bluebell Railway, I gather congratulations are in order.
Thank you very much indeed.
3 awards, no less.
Yes, indeed. Well, it was a very, very special and memorable evening for the Bluebell Railway at the weekend, where we managed to scoop 3 awards. 2 for Beachy Head, one being the HRA Steam Locomotive Award and the Steam Railway Readers Award. But it wasn't just Beachy Head that took away some accolades. Pullman Car 54 also managed to take away the Morgan Award for Railway Preservation Rolling Stock, and it's a fantastic achievement for the whole railway and for the dedicated groups that have painstakingly put their blood, sweat and tears into creating these fantastic pieces for the Bluebell Railway, and a magnificent job they've done.
It's fantastic. I mean, steam locomotive is not really my thing. You know, if I want to boil water, I just go and use a kettle in the kitchen. But Car 54, I mean, what a piece of work.
It's stunning.
What a piece of work.
To have the amount of ingenuity to create an accessible Pullman carriage, which has been crying out for so many people who haven't had the opportunity to travel on a Pullman, for example, it's a breathtaking piece of engineering.
You can talk about the engineering, but you get on that coach and it's like, it may as well have just come out of the factory. It's just fantastic. In fact, I very much doubt it looked that good when it came out of the factory. The attention to detail on it was stunning. We were lucky enough to inspect it middle of last year, when it was still just undergoing completion, and I fell in love with it.
I love it. I mean,
it's nicer than my flat.
I am very biased, by the way, but I have to say it's an incredible piece of work that the guys at the Carriage and Wagon shop have done at Horsted Gates.
Oh, absolutely.
But Beachy Head as well being just What an amazing project that's been.
Kettle. Kettle.
Steady.
It hasn't got
steady now.
It hasn't got shoe gear on it. I'm not
Steady.
interested.
No, it was, let's just to say, but a fantastic award for the Bluebell Railway and for everybody involved. A magnificent achievement.
It's a wonderful thing to see.
However, right, coming back to here, you're probably wondering, what are we doing here? Who are we? And what's the project?
I'm wondering who he is. He just wandered in off the street half an hour ago. We are here to have a look at 3417. 3417 is the last complete example of its type, a 4VEP. Get ready for acronyms, folks. There's more coming. If you want to go and make a cup of tea, now's the time.
Now is the time to get the glossary out, at least. So
don't do that. Run away.
We can always put subtitles on this, ladies and gentlemen. So if that's needed, just write to us and let us know in the comment sections below if you want subtitles, okay?
Or us to stop. 3417 was built in 1967. It was one of the first 20 of its type built for the Bournemouth electrification. That particular piece of railway work did away with steam engines on the southern region. These were the new thing in the late 60s. Arrive at just into the early 2000s. These things were on their way out after a 50-year career, a couple of million miles under their belt, and God alone knows how many millions of people carried. This one was named by South West Trains, Gordon Pettit. We named it after Gordon, probably one of the most respected railwaymen of his generation. When it was retired, our chief engineer, Chris Buckland, who sadly can't be here today because there's a pub involved. I'm not bitter, but I want a pint. Chris Buckland selected this unit. It was the best of the first 20 that remained. Chris had it repainted into this colour as delivered. All the details you see, apart from the orange curtains, which are down to Lynn, who you'll meet later, were unveiled at Waterloo January 2002, if memory serves. I can't remember, it was a long time ago. Anyway.
I was still at school then.
Should be now. Or Borstal. Where was I? Oh yes, Gordon, that's right.
Yes.
Unveiled at London Waterloo for Gordon and special guests. And from then on, it stopped being just another commuter train. When South West Trains finally decided to get rid of it, again, back to the Bluebell. The Bluebell Railway took this unit on. And as part of that, myself, Chris, and our friend Gwilym Jones volunteered in our idiocy after about 5 pints to look after it in its retirement. Well, that was, where are we, 15 years ago now?
Yeah, easily 15 years ago now.
Yeah, basically the train is now in better nick than me.
That's a bit harsh on yourself there, Steve, come on.
No, I was lighter and I had black hair when I started doing this. For a start, I only had one chin. I missed that. Myself, Chris and Gwyl decided it couldn't be allowed just to sit on a viaduct looking pretty. We decided it had to be kept in the condition you see now, which was working, able to work on the main line. All the equipment works. Everything is as it should be. We could work a fast Portsmouth train tomorrow with this train if we wanted to. Because of that, we ended up on a 15-year expedition looking after it. In the last 10 years, we've been in this shed, thanks to the support of Siemens and South Western Railways, along with the Bluebell Railway and along with many other industry partners, Network Rail, GBRF, too many to name, TBM of Crew, Armstrong Powerhouse, Real-Time Trains, you name it. Everyone has bought into this project, and now here we are with a train that is ready to carry passengers again. Not a bad way to spend your days off, I suppose.
In terms of what we can offer you here, there's a whole plethora of stuff at this moment in the shed that we can go and investigate. We're going to have a look at a couple of bits and pieces today, aren't we?
What you mean is you're going to sit there and you're going to march me around the place?
No, come on, it's a
Me and Tony are going to have to do the legwork.
No, he's fine. It's like at the end of the day, our cameraman, Tony at the back there, he's well educated and well versed to be walking with a camera.
Yeah.
So don't do him a disservice. He will be
I'm not.
fine. He's
I'm not.
laughing behind the camera. The smile is the giveaway.
It's not a smile, it's a grimace.
No, it's definitely a smile. But anyway, we've got lots to show you here.
Absolutely.
Not just in this episode, but also on the episodes to come. And if you want to find out more about the society and the unit as a whole, just go onto the social media for the Southern Electric Traction Group, whether that will be the website or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, there's lots of bits and pieces that we can find out about this great unit in particular.
Absolutely. So what's next then?
So next we're going to come up and we've got a very special guest to start off with. And we decided to go and blow the budget immediately.
That's right, we have blown the budget. For our first guest on Full Series, we have none other than Sir Peter Hendy. Peter, thanks very much for joining us. You've been a long-time supporter of the project. Before we go any further, can you give us a brief idea of your career to date and how you came to be involved with the SETG?
So I'm really pleased to be doing this because you're right. Actually, 3417 is a shared passion with many other people. I'm very keen, as everybody seems to know, about transport history and railway history. First thing I should say is, so I am the Minister of State for Rail in the Department of Transport for this government, but I'm doing this interview on a personal basis because of my hobbies and interests, not because I'm a government minister. Having said that and got that out of the way, I'm very lucky to have spent almost my entire career doing things that I really love and enjoy, and the transport industry is my passion. I started, I was about to say I started with London Transport as a graduate trainee in 1975, but in fact that's not quite true, because I learned to drive a bus at an organisation called Continental Pioneer, which was in the goods yard at Richmond. And I was 21 in 1974, and it's a long story, but I taught myself to drive a bus, and I passed my PCV test in July 1974. And I joined London Transport as a graduate trainee. I did all sorts of things with them, including conducting buses in the days when buses had conductors and ticket machines and real money. I was a driver for London Transport. I had great difficulty in passing their test because I'd already passed a PCV driving test, and London Transport famously didn't like people who'd already passed the driving test. So if I hadn't been a graduate trainee, they'd thrown me out. That's another story. I worked for a guy who was the deputy chairman and then the chairman of London Transport in 1978. I wound up having done all sorts of things, running one of the 11 London bus companies in 1989. That company was privatised in 1994. We bought it. We sold it to First Group in 1997. And then more recently, in 2000, when the mayoralty of London was formed, I came back and ran the bus service in London for Ken Livingstone as the mayor for 6 years. Then I became the Commissioner of Transport for 9.5 years for TfL. And then in 2015, I became the chair of Network Rail. And I did that for 9 years. And then very unexpectedly, last summer, I was sitting at my desk at home on a Sunday afternoon in a T-shirt and a pair of shorts. And I answered a call that came up on my mobile phone. It came up as no caller ID. I always have to answer them because when Boris was the mayor, he used to turn up as no caller ID, so you better answer him. And this voice at the other end said, this is the switchboard at number 10 Downing Street, and the Prime Minister wants to speak to you. Will you hang on? So I don't know what anybody listening would do, but I hung on. And I got the Prime Minister, and he said, I'd like you to be the Minister for Rail in my new government. Will you do it? And I just said yes. So that is my career to date. I don't know how illustrious it is. I've never thought that I would be able to do any of those things, but it's been mostly a joy to do them. And it is in an industry that I love, and I think I've done some good on the way, and I hope I'm still doing it.
Well, you've been keeping busy. Right, Peter, it's got to be asked, 2025, it's Rail 200. Now, some people watching will know exactly what Rail 200 is about. Some people will be completely in the dark about what it means for the industry, what it means for the country. Can you give us some idea of what Rail 200 means, what it encompasses, and what's going to be happening this year?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing to say is that the passenger railway is a British invention, and the Stockton and Darlington Railway was the first public passenger railway in the world. The advent of passenger railways, that railways has profoundly changed the world that our predecessors lived in and the one that we live in now. So I think celebrating a great British invention is a wonderful thing to do. And I think not only because of the engineering, but because of the social, economic and political effects of the railway. And they've been going on ever since that day in September 1825 when the Stockton and Darlington first opened, and they're still going on. And I think one of the reasons for celebrating the 200th anniversary is not just because of the great past of the railway and all the things that it did. It made us an industrial country. It formed cities. It brought both fresh meat, fresh veg, and fresh milk to cities. It fueled the growth of cities because otherwise they'd never have got big because you couldn't move around them. It survived and actually helped win both world wars. The railway survived the growth of motorised, car ownership in the 50s, despite all the odds, and it survived COVID too. So that history is great. What it does at the moment is really important because connectivity drives growth, jobs and housing, and is really important for the country. And what it'll do in the future is still relevant. And one of the things that's great about it is that some of my predecessors, both in the job that I'm doing now and in Network Rail, would have been, in the 70s, 60s and 70s in British Railways, they couldn't get any investment. It was really hard to do. Now people are falling over themselves to want to invest in the railway because it's the means of giving greater connectivity and economic growth and jobs and housing, and it's still true. So that's really important. And then all of that's really serious. So the other good thing about 200th anniversary is let's have a bit of fun. And let's have a bit of fun on the railway by celebrating what it's done. The British love railways, and I don't know whether you've ever heard me say this before, but the only way you can get the railway on the front page of a newspaper with a favourable story is, frankly, a picture of Flying Scotsman. They'll print that and they'll write a nice story. But the British love railways, and they love the memories of what it gives them, what the trains they travel to school in growing up, the trains that they travel, when they first got work and all that sort of stuff, the holidays they went on trains. So all of that is well worth celebrating. And if you roll that all up together into a year of celebration, then why don't we have it? So one of the good things about Railway 200 is the big celebration at Derby. I think it'll be the largest collection of rolling stock brought together for many, many years. And I'm very grateful to all the people there who are putting it together. There's a lot of effort going into it. And of course, I'm really, really pleased to hear that 3417 is going up there as a representative of Southern Region best quality rolling stock, and it'll be much admired. And I hope everybody watching this will take the opportunity of buying tickets to Derby and go and see this great exhibition.
Yeah, all right. The cat's already out of the bag on that one, as everybody knows, has seen our social media feed. But yeah, we are going to Derby. We are going to the Great Gathering. We're really looking forward to it. Chris Buckland is tearing his hair out already, which is fun. Let's have a look at the wider scene, Peter. Obviously, we've got specific challenges with 3417, with the SETG fundraising, operations, embracing new technologies. What do you think the wider challenges are for preservation when they're looking to operate in the 21st century, and obviously, in our case, on a 21st century railway?
So one of the things that's a big issue today is the relevance of railway preservation and the preservation of railway objects in what's the third decade of the 21st century. And I think that actually it is important. It's important because people don't just want to see objects. Museums are full of objects. And one of the things I learned as a trustee, both of the London Transport Museum and of the National Railway Museum, is that, of course, people want to see the objects, but they want to tell stories around the objects. And of course, the best story you can tell about a transport object is riding on it. Yeah. And actually, what people want to do is to recreate journeys of their past, or journeys that they could have made, or journeys that their friends and family made in the past. And one of the ways of doing that is to ride on period rolling stock on the main line. Now, there's obviously a limit to that. We're not going to take 1850 steam locomotives out on the main line every day, but actually getting something like 3417 up to mainline condition, equipping it with all the modern stuff that you need to operate safely on the modern railway is a great thing to do, because that means that you can actually give people a real ride on the real railway on something that otherwise is obsolete and they can't see anymore, and you give people tremendous amounts of enjoyment out of that. And I think it's really important, because actually that's what creates the aura around railway preservation. It's what ought to encourage people to put their money in. By the way, folks, if you're watching this, put your money into 3417. It's a great thing to do. And you've also, beyond the main line, which obviously is constrained, you can run a special train on the main line now and again, but you've also got heritage railways, which are more which can run preserved rolling stock every day. But even they've got serious objectives now. They're less maintained by old people who remember steam locomotives, for example. They've got to have real modern world safety. And then you look at somewhere like Severn Valley Railway, which is a great railway, fabulous day out, but they've just had a really serious structural failure on one of their embankments and bridges. It's going to cost them a lot of money to repair it. But actually, we've all got to put our hands in our pockets and do that too, because otherwise you haven't got heritage railways. So it's got a real purpose. It's got a purpose in giving people pleasure, reminding them of their history and the history of their what they and their families used to do. It costs money, which is why you need donations to keep these things going. But isn't it worth it at the end of it?
Yeah, I think that point is very well made, Peter, about the Severn Valley Railway. For anybody watching at home, we will be putting a link on the bottom of the screen so that you can donate towards the Severn Valley Railway. Any money that you can give will help them to reconstruct that bridge and get the railway back into shape as quickly as possible.
Peter, like you, I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic career in the railway industry. But people will be looking in from the outside and wondering, what does this deliver to the wider rail industry? I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
So, one of the reasons that railway preservation is important, and one of the reasons why doing the sort of really intricate and painstaking work that's been done on 3417 is so valuable, is because actually it's using and keeping skills that in the modern world are sadly declining. So, you know, the modern world is full of stuff that's so complicated you can't really maintain it. It's full of very durable materials, but not ones that you can work with woodworking tools or spanners and things like that. And actually keeping alive things that were built by craftsmen and women, and keeping them as good as the day they were built is a really interesting exercise, both in maintaining skills in the older people who can maybe remember how it's done, and also getting younger people to appreciate the level of skill involved and actually learning those skills so that they're transferable elsewhere. And there's a really practical reason why actually this preservation movement's so important, because if you've got that interest and you get involved in one of these things, then you can get on the job on the railway much more easily. One of the things that I never understood in London Transport when I joined was that they were a bit depreciating. Well, not a bit, they were depreciating about people who were interested in it. And I never understood that. And that's not my philosophy at all. I think it's really important that people who join the railways are interested in what it does. And if they've learned some skills by some of the stuff that you're doing with 3417, that's terrific, because those are valuable skills. They keep the learning alive about how to do them, and they give the people who've got them a real in into the railway, which is really important. And as I think we three of us would agree, and I hope people listening would agree, a career on the railway is one of the few stable things left in the world. If you want to work on a railway and you're prepared to change what you do, who you do it for, and sometimes where you do it. You've got a job for as long as you want to work, and the pension's pretty good too. All of that might emanate from actually learning a skill or getting involved in the preservation of something like 3417. So it's really valuable.
Peter, you're a leading voice within the industry. Can you give us some idea of your thoughts on the challenges that the 21st Century Railway is going to face?
Sure. So look, I mean, talking about today's railway and the future, the first thing to say is that actually it is going to change. I mean, I won't go into a political argument about the future of the railway, but I think it's commonly held by everybody that the present structure doesn't work. And indeed, you know, my principal job over the next few months will be to take a railways bill through the Lords as part of it going through Parliament in order to substantially change the railway. And the reason for that is because the railway doesn't perform as well as it should do. It costs the taxpayers more than it should, and it doesn't have the revenue that it ought to. Those are pretty serious matters, and the railway needs to remain affordable and well performing in order still to be relevant to the country. So that's a sort of serious bit. But the other thing I think is that if you go back to, you know, the railway isn't, I mean, it isn't inanimate objects. It's a whole selection of inanimate objects, and it would be hard to understand maybe why you might be so affectionate about the railway, except that if you go back to what we were talking about before, it's part of everybody's life. Travelling by train is part of everybody's life. You know, there's some pictures in the office here of Waterloo in the 1940s when there were people in uniform, in the 1950s with boat trains, and then in the 60s and 70s when units like 3417 brought thousands and thousands of people to work in central London every day. And I think a decent bit of a reminder about the importance of the railway in history is a good foil for explaining why it's still relevant and how it could be relevant in the future, you know. And it is interesting, though commuting has dropped since COVID because there are more people who feel that they can work at home 1 or 2 days a week. Leisure travel is up. And leisure travel is the same units that took people at Waterloo on Mondays to Fridays, took them to Bournemouth and Poole and Wareham and Swanage on Saturdays. So, you know, and it's still true. So I think I can explain quite easily both why the railway is relevant today, what it needs to do to get relevant, but also enough about its history to show that continuous process. And I think reminders of the railway's past, travelling around occasionally on the network, are just a thoroughly good thing.
Peter, that's fantastic. You can't really ask for a better summing up of why heritage is important, what it means to the wider industry, and where we're going in the 21st century. We're looking forward to joining you on the ride.
It's absolutely superb. I think to be brutally honest, we couldn't have asked for a better person for our very, very first interview. So,
Absolutely.
Lord Hendy, Baron Hendy of Richmond Hill, thank you so much for the time that you've given us, and hope to see you again here at Strawberry Hill very, very soon.
Thank you.
So how about that for an interview then?
Not bad, eh?
I mean, to be honest, #1, Lord Hendy. What a great start.
Have we peaked too early?
We never peaked too early. I mean, to be brutally honest, there's
Have
only one way up. No. There's one way up or down. What's it, up or down?
I don't know. In my case, usually down.
It probably, anyway. Anyway, you need to go and do a tour, so you head away.
I'm being thrown out now, mate.
Yes, you are. Off you go. Go.
Fine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheerio. Bye for now. Anyway, he'll be back soon anyway. More importantly, if there's any way that you guys want to find out, help out with the group here at Strawberry Hill, or learn a little bit more about Gordon Pettit, the unit, then you can go onto our social media handles, which is at Gordon3417 on Instagram. On Facebook it's SETG, and online it's setg.org.uk, where you can not only find out about volunteering opportunities, but the history and the latest news regarding this amazing unit. And once Steve has disappeared into the ether, go on, disappear. You never get the staff. Anyway, we've got plenty that's going to come up on this series, and we are excited to share as much as we possibly can regarding the history, the people, and the knowledge and technological expertise that we have on this amazing unit. One thing of which is that Steve's going to give us a bit of a tour. So hold the line, caller. Steve, you can hear me? Are you there?
Hello, James? Yeah. Yeah, I'm up here. Yeah. Okay.
Will you stop that? What are you doing?
It's the noisy
Wait,
lever.
sorry, okay. I love this part of the train, okay? Watch him. Sorry, as you can probably tell, we're now in one of the coolest parts, which is actually the train itself. So we've come from the comfy part of the train into the more interesting bit. We're actually standing at the moment in one of the driving trailers of 3417, and as this jolly joker has just done, can't take him anywhere. He's effectively shown us one of the coolest parts of the train itself, and that is the driving cab. So Steve,
yes,
if you want to show Tony exactly what this comprises of,
come on, Tony.
ahead.
Come in and have a look. Right, this is the business end. This is where I sit, or certainly used to sit when I used to work these things. Very, very simple. All the trains I drive these days are digital. This is analog. This is push buttons. This is flick switches. This is noisy levers. Brake handle, power handle. Forward, take power. Neutral, take power. Yeah, you guys ever heard of the dead man's handle? Well, this is what happens. If I die, I have to hold this thing down to keep the brakes off when we're moving. If I go, this is what happens. Ready for the noise? Lots and lots of brake. The train stops itself. Very, very basic, very, very effective. Anyone who ever used to come into Victoria, Waterloo, London Bridge, Cannon Street, Charing Cross in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you'll remember this noise. Driver gets in, stops at the end of the platform. That's your lot. Time for a tea break. This was my world for the first 7 years of my railway career, and I loved it, and I miss it. This is one of the things that keeps me coming back to this project, being able to stand here and drive this for members of the public to enjoy. Jim, where are you? You run off.
I'm in here, I'm making space. Here we are. Hello, everybody, again. So Tony's doing an absolutely amazing job with the camera, so I've got to give him a Victoria Cross for what he's trying to achieve. The space in this train is a little bit confined, but this is an absolute snapshot back into the past. We are stepping back into what I remember as a kid as a classic commuter train, and this is the whole point of what this project is all about. Recreating history and recreating a vision of the commuter world that we all took for granted before these trains were withdrawn from service in 2005. And just stepping back into a carriage like this, it just takes you back. It certainly does for me from my days at college. I travelled on these particular trains when I went to and from college as a younger person. And this is what the project is all about, and what Steve and the team and all of us here really want to bring to you guys and take it out into the big wide railway. This particular part of the carriage is my personal bit. And again, Tony, careful with that camera.
I'll tell you what,
he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. And this particular scene is something which is one of my personal favourites here on the unit. It's the compartments of first and standard class in this particular part. It's absolutely amazing, isn't it, Steve?
It's not bad. It's taken an awful lot of effort to get them to this condition. When we took this unit on from the Bluebell Railway 15 years ago now.
Has it been that long?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Like I said,
my word.
I had black hair when we started this. And more of it.
I was at uni as well. I was there at uni, couldn't even get my hands on it.
I forgot, you've only just passed puberty, haven't you? I'd forgotten that.
Don't even start. Again, Tony, make a note of this. Make a note of this. But anyway, come, let's move quickly onwards into the other part. So
this is, you're looking at 15 years worth of work. Be very careful here, Tone. Let me pull that door to for you. Here's a noise you might like. No, didn't close properly, never mind. No, it's because there's a cable hanging out of it. There we go. That was a favourite compartment for those who knew back in the day.
This takes me back as a kid. This was one of my. This was my opportunity to be, and there's another one which is at the other end of this unit, which is right beside the driving cab, and that is where most of the memories come back from being on these particular kinds of trains, because my dad was a driver and drove these in his mainline career, and one of the memories I had was trying to nab one of these, especially if my dad was driving the particular train, because my dad would be in the cab just at the other side of the wall and I'd be in here.
Fantastic.
And that's a memory which I feel very fondly of and take back, and it invokes so much just being in this particular environment. And just even sitting here is enough to transport me back to 2003, 2004.
You've got mugged in memory lane, haven't you?
I have, and that's it. And it's even great to not see it in its fully furnished, trimmed best. And this is the real behind-the-scenes work which goes on here at Strawberry Hill to show this is really a project ongoing, isn't it?
This is by no means perfect. This is not ready for service. This is work ongoing.
I love this. This is like Challenge Annika, this is for Tony.
How you getting on there, Tony? You all right?
I feel very sorry for Tony. He's doing a sterling job. He does deserve a Guinness at the end of the day.
Several Guinnesses. The producer's watching, Tony. We're on your side, mate. We go through here. Now we're in the motor coach. You listen to that under the floor. That's the compressor running. The unit's alive. The lights are on. It is good to go. We keep saying this. We'd do a fast Pompey with this thing tomorrow if we could. At the moment, Lynn is working on restoring trim. Even now you can see this is a hangover from water damage when the train was in store, open storage in the rain, getting cold, getting wet. You see these little spots of rust and what have you. This seat tray will come out. It'll be cleaned back, stripped back. Nitro-Moors get all the adhesive off it. Then we'll strip the paint back with a wire brush, repaint it, refit it, good to go. Probably about 2 days work to do that. 2 days work for me, probably about a day's work or 6 hours from somebody who knows what they're doing. Some of these seats have been refurbished. Lynn and Lynn's mum Maggie, bless her, who's no longer with us. Lynn and Maggie did a phenomenal amount of work to get this thing back into service. They learned skills that were taken for granted back in the day on BR workshops across the southern region, across the country. What we're looking at now are skills that are being relearned and nurtured. It's a big deal. Peter Hendy mentioned earlier that preservation is holding on to skills that would otherwise be lost. We've already got 2 railway apprentices who have joined the SETG, and as well as their apprentice, they're learning how to maintain these older series rolling stock. They're learning skills that otherwise they wouldn't have to have in the modern railway. Now we get to the shiny, noisy, sparky bits.
Hello.
Good God! he caught up with us. Gets everywhere. There we go. If you pull that door just this way a little bit, there we go. That's something you don't often see. 15 amp fuse, 60 amp fuse, 100 amp fuse. Oh, you bumped the antenna there, Tony. You all right? There you go. In. Lovely. Don't get any closer than that, please, James.
No problem at all.
Okay.
There is one little thing that I've noticed in this compartment which I absolutely love, and I will show you this. Proper old school. Sportis operating manual from 1990.
Oh, we're all about the heritage.
We love the heritage, and this is an area that I feel most enamoured to, being a guard in my previous days with the big railway. This is where I would have been if I operated this unit in my career. So being here, it's certainly a massive jump to what I worked with, to what others in my grade were like in the good old days of BR.
This train was working, earning money up until the early 2000s. Look at the railway now, 25 years later. The step change has been almost unimaginable. It's so unimaginable, I can't say unimaginable. That's how unimaginable it is.
Steve, we've got something to do.
I'm a driver, it's a big word.
Steve, we've got our next guest. Ooh. We need to go and see them and have a chat with them.
We do. We need to go back downstairs.
So without further ado, we'll be back very shortly.
Yeah. Come on, Tone.
Come on, let's go.
Right.
Right, okay, that's perfect. I love that noise.
Not bad, is it?
I love that noise. Anyway, right, we've been having a look inside of 3417. After you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Age before beauty.
Hello, Tone.
Right, didn't need that. Anyway, we're now going to go and speak to one of the real unsung heroes here at Strawberry Hill and an absolute master of her craft. And that's the wonderful Lynn. Lynn is here doing her wonderful
Did you
job
just say
with the
hero?
trimming.
Hi.
Hello.
Lynn and Lynn's mum Maggie
There she is.
are the two who are almost solely responsible for putting the internal trim, the seats, the backs, the cushions, and in Lynn's case the curtains up in this unit. They've taken it from what was a rain-soaked wreck and turned it into something that people are glad, even eager to travel on, which is not a bad boast for a 1960s commuter train. As James will attest, when we took the unit to the Bluebell last year, I think most people were very, very, very impressed and very keen to ride on it.
They were.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's all down to Lynn.
All of it.
Well, and Maggie.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you doing at the moment?
Right, basically, being as a few of these seats are a bit threadbare, I am, this one, if I try and turn it over, or turn it around anyway.
Do you want to get the other end?
Oh, sorry, I'm just pushing things off here. This one is all a bit,
Oh,
as you
God,
can
nearly my fingers. That's
I know,
never good.
yeah.
Careful.
yeah, all a bit gone there and a pretty threadbare. So
is this water damage?
yeah, water damage and basically moths, and because I always open them up and I find lots of dead moths and things in there.
Yeah. Okay.
So the ones that you guys have been sitting on down the bottom,
Yep.
I made this. Well, it's a three-seater like this one, so I made that.
Oh, so that one we were sitting on is
Yeah.
going to go back into the train?
It's going to go back in the train.
Okay. Oh, what, like when we finish tonight or tomorrow?
Yeah, not tonight. Maybe,
Oh, okay.
maybe tomorrow.
Oh, are we planning points?
We might.
Please
be,
say
yeah.
we're planning points.
So yeah, so basically what I try and do is I try and once I take this off, I've got all the foam in here. I try and recycle as much as possible. So I'll take all this off, then I shall show you on one I've recently prepared. I will then, as this comes off the back, so basically once I've taken the whole thing off, I'll try and keep it in one piece. So I can then basically undo this, if I can do it, undo it, and then I'll take the foam out and I try and keep everything. So I'll try and keep that. I'll try and keep the calico. I've got a roll of calico to do in the wardrobe there. And I'll just try and keep it all. And then I will, basically over the back of here, I've got, at the moment I'm doing contract work or helping the East Anglia Museum. So they've given me a roll of Jaffa cake. And then on our scaffolding, we have a roll of blueberries. So literally,
at that.
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Look at that. That is, I would pay very, very good money for this.
I
And as
know.
we said earlier on in the part of the show, I love this kind of moquette. It's absolutely superb.
You're not having it. Put it back.
I know, I'm not going to take it away. It's perfectly fine. It's Lynn's, so I'm not going to get in the
Well,
wrong side of Lynn.
it's actually not. It's the
No,
it's
don't
the
do that.
SCT
No, don't
jeans,
do that.
But yeah, so that's on my scaffolding. It comes out, and literally this is just one piece of material, which
Lovely.
is taken a little while to master, or try and master how to do these.
Yeah, you've been learning these skills from scratch, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
You and Maggie went at this from cold.
Yeah.
And you've learnt skills. I think as we set up on the train, that you guys are learning skills that are almost lost to the modern railway.
Yeah.
I know the Bluebell Railway has their own trim shop,
Yeah,
where they
absolutely.
do work similar to this, but working on these seats is a very particular skill.
It is a particular skill, and I mean, I can definitely see the craft and the dedication. You mentioned the trimming shop team at the Bluebell Railway. Steve Bigg and his team at
Yeah.
Horsted Canes do incredible
They do
work
the
with
most-
what they do, and the fact that you and yourself and Maggie, when she was involved in this, the quality of work is absolutely second to none. But when you're not doing this out of interest, what other projects have you been doing behind the scenes? You've been to other bits of... Somebody told me, and a little birdie's been saying to me, not the person in the earpiece, by the way, has said that you've been doing glasses cases. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have. I'll go and grab it. Hold on. Right, so in here, come all the way around the. So that's a draft whelp that's ready to go. That's our little. We've got our moth.
Tony's met the moth.
I've met the moth.
Yep.
So literally, I've just been playing around with things. So I started making some slippers. So that's a base of slippers. This is based on Bucky's flip-flops, and then I tried making a slipper, which worked all right. I'm just going to finish it off. But these are the glasses cases.
Look at these. Make sure you go into to the logo. That's absolutely superb.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm trying to sell it to you on some channel. This is the real deal. This is absolutely wicked. And the one thing, if you recognise the actual moquette, it's up there in the window.
Yeah, it's there.
So if you want one of these,
Curtain material.
they are available. And even though I don't wear glasses, and it'll probably happen to me in the near future, I would like one.
Well, I'm just thinking,
Over here.
I've got these, and they're also for anybody with a mobile phone. They can put a mobile
Lovely.
phone in there as well. So there you
Lynn,
go. So that's what I'm doing.
Honestly, you are an absolute star. Thank you so much for the
Thanks,
time that you've
guys.
given us for us. We need to go and have a look at something else. So Tony, come with us.
Bye,
and we
Lynn.
will give Lynn
Bye.
a breather from us two reprobates in the process.
I just got out of the way there.
And one of the things that you can purchase with us at the SETG is your own personalised brake block. Now, Steve is more technically in charge of this whole operation. What is a brake block, and what is it doing?
Brake blocks, very handy for stopping trains.
Yes.
Without them, this thing won't stop.
And it'll be
Well,
like
it will.
a crumpled mess.
Well, it will do, but obviously it'll be a lot shorter.
Yeah, it'll
and,
be very short.
yeah,
Yeah.
shorter and higher.
Yes.
Yeah. What we came up with the idea of we're going to have to use and replace these huge lumps of metal. Good God, that weighs a ton. So why not get them sponsored? Now this is what we call an R5 brake block. That's a very heavy brake block.
Just mind your hands.
God, I'm
Mind
fine.
your hands.
I'm fine. And that very heavy brake block goes on the motor coach. 62236 here, 2 bogies. I think there's 16 on there. That's a big heavy coach with a big heavy bogie, so you need socky great big heavy brake blocks. The trailers, 1, 2, 3, those other coaches have slightly smaller brake blocks, but you can still sponsor them. So at the moment, we are.
Good God, that's heavy.
I know. Be careful.
Oh, my word.
I think I might have just jogged that one, but so I'll get told off in a minute. We're using this laser engraver to put a logo on there, and then what we do is, if somebody chooses to sponsor a brake block, there we go. That's a nice shot. Look at that young fit man holding that socky great big lump of metal.
Can I put it down now?
Yeah, you can definitely
my
put it
good
down
Lord.
there.
So more importantly, how does the general public and people watching our episode today, how do they get one?
Very simple. What you do is you go onto our website, setg.org.uk/store. You'll see a breakdown of all the goodies, all the SETG themed goodies that you can have. And one of it says brake blocks. £49.99 to you. It's like QVC this, isn't it? £49.99. You get your name on there, you get a certificate, and when we need to fit the block, we don't just do it willy-nilly. As Lynn said just a little while ago, we try not to waste money, we try not to waste materials. So we're not going to take brake blocks on and off unless we need to, but you will be in a queue, your brake block will go onto the train, it will carry your name, and you'll be supporting the project in a very, very meaningful and solid way, basically making that thing stop. And seeing as I'm sat at the front of it when I want it to stop, I'm very grateful. And that's it. I mean, we're at the woodworking station here. Unfortunately, Rich Salmon from the Bluebell Railway had to go home, but Richard has brought a wealth of experience from his work at the Bluebell Railway on their carriage and wagon department, and brought it here and shared it with us. These door thresholds are now ready to go back in. These are sacrificial parts that under BR would have been changed 6 monthly, yearly, whenever they got rotten, they would just be swapped over. For us, making these is a big deal. Richard has brought that sort of skill to us, skills that we didn't have. This is one of the wonderful things about the SETG, a very small group with a very wide and varied array of skills. And then there's James. That's it. That's it. This is what we're about. This is what we're doing. So
there we go. And I think we're going to have to put the brakes on this, especially after you've jogged that one, but ignore that one. So it's now time to go back to the seats and to the sofa and to meet our next special guest. Are you all right after that?
no one told me they'd be walking around. I thought it was going to be sitting down. It's ridiculous.
Just think about the steps you've put in.
I didn't sign up for exercise. I'm a train driver.
Look.
I'm professionally round.
The people out there who are watching this want to have us look inside of the unit. You've done your steps. You've shown them some nice shiny bits. And people are going to enjoy that segment.
I better be getting paid for this.
Oh, doesn't matter. Anyway, more importantly, let's welcome Matt Pedleston from Dovetail Games. Thank you so much for joining us here on the seats, shall we say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, thanks for having me. And these seats, man, these are amazing.
Oh, I'm gonna have to stand up and have a look at these. I mean, I'm so glad you've mentioned these because I've fallen a little bit of love with these seats.
You're not having them.
Why not?
Because Lynn will beat you up.
Well, let's just say, we're being really honest, Lynn has done an absolutely amazing job with the craftsmanship and the work that she's done with the seating.
Now doing work for Swanage, the Swanage Railway. The
Great project there.
Group, doing work for the East Anglian Railway Museum as well.
Absolutely. And also, it's a little bit of me. It's not just about me, but it's about everyone. But I've always wanted a Network Southeast seat in my life. And I think this may have ticked the box. So as I sit down, there's a little bit of the inner 8-year-old in me that is smiling from side to side in saying, I've got the chair I've always wanted.
Is quite well in touch with it.
I was going to say, it seems more like an outer 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into the questions. Questions, gentlemen, questions. So, Matt, for those people who are watching who are brand new to the hobby and want to find out a little bit more, what is Train Sim World? What's it all about?
Train Sim World allows players to fulfill that fantasy of driving trains, because everybody, a lot of kids from a younger age really want to be train drivers. They have this fascination with trains, and but it takes a lot of skill to become a train driver. A lot of training, a lot of experience, a lot of help from other people, and a lot of people just can't do it. So what Train Sim World allows you to do is just do that at home on your console, on your PlayStation or your Xbox or your PC. And it's a nice stress-free environment where you can enjoy driving trains from all over the world in all sorts of different routes, sometimes in the past, sometimes a little bit in the future even. It's just a way to really enjoy that experience.
From an outsider's point of view, I'm not as much as a gamer as most people are, but the one thing which I love about Train Sim World is the accessibility. And I know that you just touched upon it there, it's across so many different platforms. The game really is open to everybody, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we put a lot of work into, and there is always more to do, but we try and put a lot of work into making sure that it's something that everyone can access. Whether you want to just use your game controller and just, with the really, really straightforward controls that you use for that, or if you want to go down to the actual nitty-gritty, use your mouse and operate all the individual levers and switches, which will do what they do in the real trains, you can do that as well. So it's kind of like you can find the level which is good for you, or if you start simple, you can grow to something as you get more familiarity. You can, learn more about it. It's a real good learning experience. People will learn more about the trains, about how they work through this stuff.
So, I know I've got a bit of a southern region bias.
A bit?
Yeah.
Hadn't noticed.
I'm quite subtle about
Quite subtle.
Same as well.
Yeah. But what else is available? I mean, I'm assuming there are routes available that something like this would be suitable for.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a route called London Commuter, which is London Victoria to Brighton.
Oh, that's the wrong side of the railway. Central. Ugh, no.
We've got we've got routes like East Coast Way, which take you from Brighton then to Eastbourne.
Yep.
And Seaford. So you got but then outside of that, you've also got routes from all over the world. You know, we've got Austrian, German, American, all sorts of things that you can drive with. Everything from massive American freight trains to high-speed bullet trains in France and all sorts of things like that. So, you know, and as I said, there's something there for everybody in terms of what you find fun about the railways. Because one of the really nice things I like about railways is it speaks to everybody. You know, if you like fast trains or freight trains or stopping trains or whatever they are, big trains, small trains, pointy trains, there's something in the railway for you. And we've tried to bring that into Train Sim World as well.
Amazing. And I guess with a game like Train Sim World, realism is extremely important to the overall user and the final finished product. So I could imagine your link up with the big railway and other manufacturers is quite crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crucial. It's not just realism, it's also authenticity as well, trying to bring that whole real experience in. But we work closely with a lot of real world operators. You know, not that long ago, we went to Los Angeles and we were able to do some, you know, attaching microphones all over the exteriors of the trains, putting them on the interiors of trains, inside the engines a bit, and then capturing all, you know, multiple sound sources while they then drive the train up and down the line for us. All these things are just enables us to then recreate it.
I'm in the wrong job. I'm liking
it. It is totally. I don't get to go on these trips.
Steve. Oh, you don't get to go on these trips?
No, I don't get to go.
Oh, in that case then.
Apparently, people who know what they're doing have to do those trips, and that's not me.
You're doing so well. You had them sold.
I'm an executive producer. There are other people that know what they're doing. And they are brilliant at what they do. So yeah, they'll go and tell you all these things. We've got other parts of the team that will find the manuals for the trains, like detailed the specs that the engineers on the Gordon Pettit will be using. Where it's you know, like, how do the electronics work, how do the pneumatics work, and we'll recreate all of that in the game as well. So you get all of these emergent behaviours. You can do that
all digitally?
It's all done digitally, yeah. We have a system called Simulgraph, which is quite industry leading, which allows us to sort of mimic or recreate how the train works. Not just the effect of push, accelerator, train, go, but then all of the detail of how it goes. How that then feeds. All of the sounds come from that as well. So if a valve is spitting away, then that's not just a sound playing in the background. There is actually a simulation of that air system and what it's trying to do. You know, there's an immense, and every individual vehicle's got this going on as well.
You know, I thought I was going to buy a PlayStation 5 earlier.
Yes.
I'm definitely getting one now.
I will openly vouch that playing a PS5, actually we talked about it a little bit earlier on, I'm amazed that we've gone from such a stage where it used to be a PC desktop-based game to now being readily accessible on an open access console.
It's one of the main things we wanted to try and solve, really, because simulations past is very much one of being very niche, being very inaccessible, being unfriendly, and being focused on the super detail. And that's great to a point. But actually, there's a lot of other people who want to enjoy those things as well. So one of the main drivers behind building Train Sim World was, how can we get this out to a wider audience without losing what's been happened in the past in terms of authenticity? But how can we actually get that out? And part of that was, we'll get it on consoles, make it work on a controller. You want to drive a train on a controller? Aren't you going to lose all that functionality? No, we found a way to make it all work fully detailed in the controller.
It's amazing. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. What has been the most craziest setup that you have seen in terms of somebody who's created something to look like a cab or work like a cab? Tell us, like, have you got an example of that?
Oh, there's the Oyster Bay Museum in Long Island. They set up a mock-up of one of the M7 trains, their cabs. And then they've wired that into Train Sim World, so that visitors to the museum can go and actually sit in what is an M7 cab, which is one of their their commuter trains, and you can operate the controls and drive the train on our Long Island simulation that we built, and it's incredibly authentic. But there's other people out there that are building just home kits, and that's an extreme.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone has the space, the time, the money for that sort of thing. There are other people out there that are just making stuff up. You know, with bits, you only need a £5 Raspberry Pi Pico and some electronics, and you can start making your own cabs. You know,
it's just mad how far technology's gone. It frightens me in a way how much you can do nowadays. I mean, I was just lucky to try and play Microsoft Train Simulator 98 with Flying Scotsman on the Setland Carlisle. My next question, leading it back to 3417. How does Train Sim World sit in the world of preservation, and how do you see Train Sim World fitting into preservation as well?
Oh God, so many different ways. So, I mean, my background, I used to run a busy website called UK Train Sim a long time ago. And through running that over more than a decade, I've seen people go from being in high school to getting a fascination with trains to getting a career in the railways. And once you have a career in the railways, a lot of people in the railways are passionate about railways. They tend to find themselves doing stuff in their spare time on the preserved railways. So there is a path, you know.
No idea. Not a clue. Not a clue. No.
So no. there is a path that, you know, that happens not uncommonly. You know, that's in the number of people that I've met on our forums, you know, a long time ago. I see them now, and they've been train drivers, and it's because of the way that how they learned from other people in the community.
Yeah.
But also, we're getting people, I think, more interested in how it is to operate trains and how it is to operate older trains. So we've got simulations of the old Class 101 DMU and Class 47s, and a company called Just Trains recently released a Class 87 simulation. And these things are fascinating to drive. And actually, one of the most common bits of feedback I get from people that aren't really familiar with train simulation in general is they'll sit at the controls, and they don't really have any idea of how much is going on in the cab of a train. Literally think it's push lever, you know. And actually, all of that concentration, all of that work, there's so many things going on that you've got to monitor, and inside and outside of the cab. And it gives them a really good appreciation, actually. Oh, I've got a bit more respect now for it. Wow, they're really skilled people. You know, so that helps people, actually. And then again, when they go to the preserved railways, they're picking that up. So the last thing is, we work with preserved railways.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if we're making a Class 101 or a Class 47, we need sounds.
Yeah.
You know, so we've worked with West Somerset, we've worked with Bluebell, we've worked with Great Central, a number of these fantastic railways. Go visit them. And
Quite right.
quite right, got to be done. There's such a good time. But you know, they have these great teams that you know want to help us, and so we're able to hire the railway out, get the train, get a crew, and then, you know, get lots of sound recordings from these trains, and get them again at this high fidelity where we can put microphones all over this thing, which is just getting that kind of access is phenomenal. Yeah. You know, and I see that as putting something back in, because, you know, we're working with the preserved railways on that. Promoting those with the railways with what we do, but also helping when we talk about what we've done. We'll tell people, you know, go and see this. This is where we got it from. The sounds you're hearing are from this particular loco. The 8F that we did was from the Great Central Railway, for example. So there's all sorts of linkage back to it, and a lot of what we do in those respects just wouldn't be possible without what's going on in preservation.
No, very true. And I will do a big shout out to a friend of ours in Richard Armstrong with his work that he does. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's amazing what he's achieved, and a big thumbs up to you and everything that you do. You are an absolute wizard when it comes to the
Totally agree.
bits and pieces that you create. I think
amazing.
one last question to end off what's been a fantastic interview and a catch up with yourself, Matt, is when are you modelling, Gordon, and when is it going to come out?
Oh, you've got me.
That wasn't a setup. I had nothing to do with that.
I'm not believing you. I'm not buying this. No plans at the moment, but you know what? I've kind of fallen in love today.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you get the opportunity, if any of you are lucky enough to get the opportunity to see this thing, this train out on the rails at Bluebell or somewhere, do. It is captivating, and I would love to make that in the game. I really would.
You are an absolute star. Matt, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate the time that you've given us both and to everyone here at Strawberry Hill, and
Cheers,
we hope to see you again
Thank you. Cheers.
very, very
Bye-bye.
soon.
Okay, I'm knackered now. Can we go home?
Well, I have to say, before we do wrap up and go nunites,
Yeah.
that was a really, really good interview.
It wasn't bad.
it?
I enjoyed that.
I did. Did it make you want to get a PS5?
I'm a 50-year-old man. Of course I want a PlayStation 5.
Exactly.
Of course I do.
So if anybody's
stupid.
out there watching this and has a PS5 or 2 to donate, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Right. Okay.
Over to you.
Wrappy up time. Social media. Thank you for looking at the big blue thing with lots of doors. If you want to find out more about what we're doing, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Gordon3417. You can find us on the web, setg.org.uk. If you want to donate £5, the price of a pint to this thing, you're more than welcome to do so. You can find the Bluebell Railways page on 3417 as well. And also the Severn Valley Railway, folks, don't forget them. They're really hard up against it at the moment. They could do with a leg up. If you've got £5 to throw around, it's a pint of beer, chuck it to them, they'd appreciate it. That means a very, very important heritage railway will be back up and running sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about here on this show, is not just talking about our wonderful unit here at Strawberry Hill, but it's also helping out everybody in preservation, especially at a time like this, and especially with the Severn Valley Railway. So
Yeah.
they definitely do need the help. Anything is possible with your help,
Absolutely.
and if you can give us a hand.
Yeah.
with
Can I go home now?
Well, hang on. Sorry, oh, the phone's going. Hang on. Wait a moment. Let me shimmy across. Hello? Yes? Okay. Right. Uh-huh.
Producer.
Right, we need to sell something.
Sell that.
Yeah, we'll find something to sell. Don't worry. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, wait. We might have a plan. Let us call you back, okay? Yeah, okay. Let me go and speak to Steve. All right. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Right. Okay. Bye. Yep. Right. Did you get that?
Something about selling something.
Yes.
We can sell Buckland.
No, I don't think he'd appreciate that.
Ah, come on, there's
I
a
don't
big,
think he'd appreciate that at all.
there's a
We
big
can't
market
sell
for
the
pensioners that
CME.
sound like Bruce Forsyth. Come on, we can make a
can't
fortune.
sell the CME.
Right.
For a start.
Okay.
And that's got a mind of its own. Just ignore that. So
Tony, he's cheap.
no. You can't sell Tony.
Well,
You cannot. No, he's worth more. He's worth more than 100 quid. Right. What can we sell? What can we actually?
it's a 1.5 ton traction motor. No.
Oh, come on. Come on. And this piece of British railway history. Imagine how many people will be interested in this. This is a leviathan of. Look.
All right.
Just look at it.
All right.
Right. Do you think this is a good idea? Yes or no?
Right. Okay, go on then.
Right, so in the process, we are up to creating a raffle for this traction motor. It has come out of a 456 multiple unit.
No, it
is-
didn't. It never went in one.
Oh, well,
No.
that's news to me.
It never went in one. It was built and should be fitted to a 456. Unfortunately, there are no more 456s. This is probably the
Wow.
biggest bit of a class 456 left.
How much would it cost?
About £250,000.
So that's a lot of Boots vouchers then.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Boots vouchers. And the opportunity is going to be given to you watching this, the chance to own this piece of history. And it's amazing that even I didn't know that it's got 0 miles on the clock.
It's never been used. Never been used. It won't fit that. It won't fit anything else. We might as well find a good home for it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we can find someone out there who's reasonable and fairly sensible.
Right.
Terms and conditions apply, of course, and that will come from Mr. Upton.
Right, because we like you, we're not actually making this up on the hoof. We did plan this. Because we like you, what we're going to do is £10 a ticket. We'll get all that sorted out and set up. There'll be details at the end of the broadcast for that. And what's going to happen is later on in the year, at one of our gala appearances, around the middle of the year, we think, we will do a draw and we will give you the chance to come and collect your 1.5 ton traction motor. I can't stress that enough. 1.5 ton traction motor. Buyer collects. It's a piece of British railway history. It's the largest part of the class 456 fleet that survives. I mean, it's a conversation piece.
It'll make a great coffee table.
I'll tell you what, if you put it on a coffee table, people will ask what it is and why it's there.
Also, make sure if the person that does win this, make sure you've got something that can take the weight.
Yeah, don't
a Robin Reliant won't work, or a
Renault
Allegro won't work.
A Renault Clio won't hack it, I'm afraid. No,
absolutely not. So, I have to say, that's a great place to end this, isn't it?
There are going to be people going, what?
Well,
really?
Well, to end on that crescendoed note, thank you so much.
You were going to say to end on that bombshell.
No,
weren't
I'm
you?
not. We're not.
You were
not
going
to confuse it. No. On that note, thank you so much to everybody that's tuned in to this very, very first episode.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. It only leaves for the rest of us to hear at Strawberry Hill to say cheerio and bye for now. Bye-bye.